Hey everybody, this is Jared, and today's date is December the 29th, 2016, and I'm back to feature another favorite poet. Today's featured poet is Robert Hayden. He was an African-American poet and professor who was best known for his poems, The Middle Passage and Those Winter Sundays, and I will be reading two of Mr. Hayden's poems. The latter will be one of them. Let me give you a bit of background on Mr. Hayden. He was born Asa Bundy Sheffy in Detroit, Michigan in August of 1913. He studied poetry at the University of Michigan and went on to teaching at both Michigan University and Fisk University. Hayden also was one of the most celebrated African-American poets of his day. He published in 1940 his first book of poems entitled Heart Shaped in the Dust. Now, if you want to hear more about Mr. Hayden's life, I will leave a link in the description box if you are viewing this on YouTube, or you can just scroll under this post, and you will find the link if you are viewing this on my blog. Mr. Hayden had a very interesting life, and it's beyond imperative that you guys, you viewers, take a look at that, do a little research, and I think you find them intriguing. With that being said, I'm going to recite two of his poems as promised. The first poem I'm going to recite is entitled Frederick Douglass, of course, inspired by the famous African-American historical figure Frederick Douglass, by Robert Hayden. When it is finally ours, this freedom, this liberty, this beautiful and terrible thing, needful to man as air, usable as the earth, when it belongs at last to our children, when it is truly instinct, brain matter, systole, reflex action, when it is finally won, when it is more than the gaudy mumbo-jumbo of politicians, this man, this Douglass, this former slave, this Negro, beaten to his knees, exile, visioning a world where none is lonely, none hunted, alien, this man, superb in love and logic, this man shall be remembered. Oh, not with statues, rhetoric, not with legends and poems and wreaths of bronze alone, but with the lives grown out of his life, the lives fleshing his dreams of the needful, beautiful thing. The second poem, of course, is one of his most famous. It is entitled Those Winter Sundays, and this was written in 1966. Those Winter Sundays, by Robert Hayden. Sundays, too, my father got up early and put his clothes on in the blue-black cold. Then, with cracked hands that ached from labor in the weekday weather, made banked fires blaze. No one ever thanked him. I'd wake and hear the cold splintering, breaking. When the rooms were warm, he'd call, and slowly I would rise and dress, fearing the chronic angers of that house, speaking indifferently to him who had driven out the cold and polished my good shoes as well. What did I know? What did I know of love's austere and lonely offices? Thank you all for listening, and I will be back, as I promised, every 2 weeks on a Thursday. I will be back on January the 12th with another featured poet. Again, this was Robert Hayden, born in 1913 and passed away on 1980. He was a very fascinating poet. Please take advantage of the link that I mentioned earlier to find out more about him, and I will see you then. Keep reading, keep writing, keep loving Ritz.